Ready for war? Where you going?
We are the homie!
No, 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 no.
Don't know, take my power.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I cannot wait to talk about this story right here, because just a few days ago, I said that instead of race swapping characters, okay, making white characters black, Hollywood should just find an original African story and try to, I don't know, tell that story and make some money off of that, right? Make a movie out of that, okay, instead of whitewashing. And boy, did it just so happen that this movie, TheWomanKing, which is based off a African story or African history, is an attempt to do that, except they obviously have a woke spin to it. However, the intended outcome of this movie, I don't think is gonna be what these people, the people that produce this movie, thinks is gonna be, right? Because this movie right here, guys, is about the female warriors of the Dahomey Empire, which is an empire that existed during the 1800s in Western Africa, that again were major slave traders. Okay, these guys, they love slavery. And I just find it fascinating how Hollywood chose to make a movie about a strong black woman, right? Female empowerment. Okay, you know the title of the movie is TheWomanKing, which implies that women can do everything that men can do. They decided to try to tell a woke story about how black female warriors, women who thought they were men, who were fighting the white man, okay, the Europeans, to protect slavery. Again, it really blows my mind. There's a whole lot of things going on here, and that's why I'm so excited to talk about this. But before I get into this, I just want to let you guys know, if you like my channel, you support my channel, you can check out my merch, my donkeypox shirts, the disease that is affecting America, or my hashtag no days off / hard work patriotic t-shirts, or my MAGA hub shirts. There are plenty of shirts for you guys to check out at my website, gforemanbcp.com. Get 20% off using discount code gforemanbcp. So without further ado, the trailer is getting ratioed epically. Like the woke Little Mermaid that Disney put out, it has 262,000 dislikes to 46,000 likes. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the dislikes are not coming from the fact that it is an African movie. It's actually coming from the fact that Hollywood chose to make the one rare movie that they're gonna make about Africa, about an African civilization or empire that committed atrocities like slavery and human sacrifice in the name of women's empowerment. It really blows my mind. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this trailer.
An evil is coming that threatens our kingdom, our freedom. But we have a weapon they are not prepared for.
My king, the Europeans wish to conquer us. They will not stop until the whole of Africa is theirs. We must fight back for our people.
Haneska, you are asking me to take them to war.
Some things are worth fighting for.
Don't know, take my power. Don't know, take my power.
You are called to join the king's guard.
Don't know, take my power.
No kingdom in all of Africa shares this privilege. train hard, fight harder. We fear no one. And we fear no pain. I offer you a choice. Fight or we die.
Ready for war, where you
To be a warrior, you must kill your tears.
We are the spear of victory. We are the blade of freedom. We are the woman.
They'll never take my power, my power, my power. They'll never take my power, my power.
Yeah, so if you watch that trailer, right, you think that this story, which is supposed to be based off powerful true events, you think this story would be a story about how this African kingdom fought back against the evil Europeans, okay? The people that were trying to take over their country because they were doing nothing but their peaceful world making. You know, that's what the woke professor at Rutgers said that so-called non-white people will be doing if it wasn't for European colonialism. They were just being engaged in peaceful world making. Okay, they weren't at war with each other. They weren't slavery each other. They weren't doing effed up things to each other. They weren't doing the exact same things that they get mad at Europeans for doing. Right? No. They would have just been 100% completely peaceful. Right? It would have been great. Okay, no violence, no conflict if it wasn't for European colonialism. However, we all know that that's not the case. And one of the reasons why I actually think that this film is a good thing, despite the wokeness, is that hopefully the woke revolutionaries actually learn some real history, if this movie is done right, that is, about how it wasn't just the Europeans engaging in slave trading. In fact, these African countries were willing participants. They were major players. The Europeans couldn't have done it without the Africans, okay? Not only that, the Africans continued to want to have slaves despite opposition from the Europeans. So I want y'all to understand, the woke revolutionaries complain about slavery as if it is some type of unique evil. Only unique to the white man. Only the white man could have done it, right? They made it up. They created slavery. However, you have this African nation, proven documented facts, that not only was a major participant in the slave trade, but also didn't want to stop enslaving even after the Europeans said no more. And they fought wars over it, right? They fought wars for the right to continue to enslave African people. You know, the people that were sold to the Europeans, yeah, the Africans actually wanted to just continue to enslave them, okay? Particularly their neighbors, because all of them were engaging in the slave trade, and slavery was common practice back then. Right? So I'm just saying, hopefully once the woke revolutionaries watch this movie, they know where to go to ask for their reparations. They need to go to the homies in Africa, right? Go to the homies if you want your reparations. So that being said, I'm going to read a few comments here that's going to give you guys a understanding of why people are disliking this, because they don't feel like it's a good chance that these facts are going to come across in this film, that these facts are going to be watered down to push this woke narrative rather than actually focusing on some of the historical facts that are the background of this movie that are really anti-woke, okay? They go against the anti-woke agenda. And that's why I find this to be so fascinating. So let's read some of the comments here in YouTube real quick so you guys get a better understanding of what people are saying. One person says, I urge everyone to read up on the kingdom of Dahomey before celebrating this film. Plan to discover the shocking reality of slavery and how it was not single-handedly operated by European nations. The complicity of this crime runs deep and well beyond skin color. Don't let the media and Hollywood sanitize history. Ding, 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 ding. One person says, The Woman King follows the emotionally epic journey of General Nausicaa as she trains the next generation of recruits and readies them for a battle against an enemy determined to destroy their way of life. Some things are worth fighting for. Their way of life being enslaving others and partaking in mass human sacrifice. Facts. I hope they're also going to show that they had all female units because so many men died in wars with neighboring states, tribes, kingdoms, and because they had to give their men to them to be enslaved. They should also show that they regularly participated in slave raids and traded slaves. I have a feeling they're going to leave such important details out. Part 2 is going to be called The Man Queen or the LeBron James story. Yeah, I'm glad this movie is coming out because its existence has brought awareness to some of the most hidden aspects of the slave trade, of which this kingdom that they're glorifying took a horribly big part in. People always assume that to the dramatized portrayal of the history in the media, lots of people still assume Europeans would raid and capture Africans themselves, when in reality, during the colonization of America, white people 9 out of 10 times chose to buy the slaves at African ports from kingdoms such as this one because they hadn't yet developed proper immunity to foreign African diseases. I'm not in any way saying it wasn't a terrible issue, nor am I saying that many white people didn't have a hand in it. I'm just saying it's not as black and white, ironically, as you believe. Facts. Again, this whole comment section, right, is here to basically give a history lesson to the woke revolutionaries to understand that, in fact, Africans were just as responsible for the slave trade as the Europeans, if not more responsible. Now, another interesting fact here is that on Rotten Tomatoes, this has a 100% fresh tomato score. Again, when has that ever happened? 100% fresh tomatoes out of 28 reviews. So Hollywood is praising this, okay? You have this one review here that I found to be absolutely fascinating, where it talks about how TheWomanKing has proven what we already knew, that women always have and always will make formidable action heroes. Now, again, this whole review is not only glorifying a kingdom that participated in slavery, but they're also pushing out this idea that men and women are equal, in which in this case, these Amazon warriors, these female warriors from Dahomey back in Africa actually thought they were men. They thought that they were men, okay? And the unfortunate reality for them is that they're going to find out the hard way that they, in fact, are not men. But we're going to read about that in a little bit here. Okay, but I want to read this line real quick because this right here, this will really blow my mind. Okay, TheWomanKing is more than an action movie. It's a film that depicts a side of African history that is rarely told and an opportunity for black people to assert their humanity and regality. An opportunity for black people to assert their humanity. Humanity, right? I just want you guys to understand, this is what woke Hollywood, this is how they're spinning this. This is how I'm spinning this. So let's actually read about the homies. Okay, first, I want to show you guys a map of where the kingdom was located. Right, so this was the Dahomey Kingdom. Okay, and it's talking about the religion and their practices that they did under their king. And I want you guys to read about the humanity of this. Under his influence, administration, and religious practices, their dominant religion was Bodum, got a firm foundation as they did what any kingdom must do to establish its dominance and authority, conquer nearby areas. By the 18th century, the kingdom of Dahomey was on a path of economic growth and expansion. Much of this came from the abysmal practice of slave trading, which they did with European traders. It was a matter of either enslave others or become enslaved yourself, and Dahomey chose the former. Wow. All those black people getting it wrong, seeming kumbaya, which is what woke revolutionaries want you to think about African history or the history of non-white people. Non-white people never fought each other. They didn't kill each other. Okay, they didn't slave each other. They didn't do horrible things to each other. Only the Europeans did these things to so-called people of color. People of color were living together in peace and harmony. Yeah, slavery and human sacrifices via mass execution of these slaves was the so-called indigenous and black world making that was happening. Okay, and guess who was trying to get in the way of this? Right, the Europeans were trying to stop this. Let's read here. The kingdom of Dahomey became known for its intricate artwork, Bodum traditions, and its all-woman military unit known as the Dahomey Amazons. Near the mid-1800s, the kingdom began to decline with pressure from Britain to stop slave trading. During this time, King Getzo was in charge and staunchly against ending his lucrative business. Spoiler alert, things did not end well for him. Dahomey began to crumble for the fearsome kingdom in several ways. The Royal Navy put a blockade on the patrols at Dahomey's coast. The nearby safe haven refugee city of Abakuta defeated them in a major battle, and growing tensions with France set the stage for war in the impending decades. Yeah, so basically these people loved their slaves. They wanted to protect their slaves. And the white man was trying to stop them from enslaving more black people. Okay? Again, not the part of the story that the woke revolutionaries like to tell when they want to talk about the Atlantic slave trade and the Europeans' involvement. They don't want to tell that story about the English monarchy, okay? And how they played a role in ending the slave trade as well. Nah. We're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna leave that out. That's inconvenient, right? The facts get in the way of the narratives. So let's read a little bit about these women, okay, and how they ultimately got their butts kicked, right? Because, you know, women are not superior warriors to men, despite what this movie is trying to portray. They're not equal, right? Not in this aspect, okay? So the rise of the Dahomey Amazons. Yes, the history of the kingdom of Dahomey is quite a lot, but how did the Dahomey Amazons fit into all of this? Their origins are murky, but they came to be during the rule of, I don't know his name, as a collective of hunters known as the Gebeto. A lot of the documentation about them comes from perspectives of European visitors, including naming them Amazons. However, they called themselves Mino, which means our mothers in Fon language. Some of them were also king's wives. As expected, documenters saw the Dahomey Amazons as overly masculine, inciting fear among them. The collective became large in number, with estimates to upwards of 6,000 women. By the middle 19th century, they would remain single, dedicating their lives to the kingdom and eschewing things associated with traditional womanhood. Okay, so these are just all female warriors, okay? The best women that they have. Now, I don't know, man. Some of these women look like men. Like this person right here, that look like a man. If that's a woman, that we got some issues going on here, right? Even in the back, this look like men. They have to be men in the back. Maybe it's just women, you know, in the middle here. Maybe they're just surrounded by the men. I'm just saying. These women, for as mighty as they were, they stood no chance against the French, right? So let's read here. European encroachment into West Africa gained pace during the latter half of the 19th century, and in 1890, King Bahanzin started fighting French forces in the course of the First Franco-Dominion War. European observers noted that the women, quote, handled admirably in hand-to-hand combat, but fired their flintlocks from the hip rather than firing from the shoulder. So these women didn't know how to really use guns that well. The Amazonians participated in one major battle, Cotonou, where thousands of Dahomey, including many Amazons, charged the French lines and engaged the defenders in hand-to-hand combat. The Amazons were decisively crushed, with several hundred Dahomey troops being gunned down. Reportedly, 129 Dahomey were killed in melee combat within the French lines. So even in melee combat, right? Let's take away the advantages that the French had in regards to probably having cannons and superior weaponry, right? The Amazons, they had guns. But even when they were in hand-to-hand combat, they were fighting men hand-to-hand, these trained women warriors. African women too, okay? So we know, you know, some of these African women, man, again, their testosterone levels are higher than normal for regular women, right? So I'm just saying, even they had no chance against men, right? Zero, none. They were decisively crushed, okay? By the end of the Second Franco-Dominion War, special units of Amazons were being assigned specifically to target French officers. After several battles, the French prevailed in the Second Franco-Dominion War and put an end to the independent Dominion Kingdom. French soldiers, particularly of the French Foreign Legion, were impressed by the boldness of the Amazons and later wrote about their incredible courage and audacity in combat against a military unit with decisively superior weaponry and longer board yet. However, the Dahomey Amazons could not prevail during a battle with French soldiers at Ajidan on October 6th. During the Second War, the bulk of the Amazon corps were wiped out in a matter of hours in hand-to-hand combat after the French engaged them with a bayonet charge. The Dahomey lost 86 regulars and 414 Dahomey Amazons, with nearly all of those deaths being inflicted by bayonets. The French lost 6 soldiers. So they had absolutely no chance. The French lost 6 soldiers. A kill-death ratio of like what, 1 to 100? That's a legendary kill-to-death ratio for the French. I'm just saying. I'm not sure if this movie is going to tell the story right, okay? Is it really going to tell the story from an accurate historical perspective? Because if it was, this ain't no hero movie, okay? It's not a hero movie. And again, it's almost like making a movie about the Confederates and saying, you know, those people in the Union that want to keep us from having slaves, those people are evil, right? Those people are evil. Again, that's what this is like. I'm pretty sure Hollywood wouldn't be okay with it. But at the very least, hopefully, these woke revolutionaries at the very least learned the fact that Africa, in fact, not only had slaves, but they treated people very, very, very poorly, okay? They were not saints. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.